Union. Welcome. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all thriving. Hello to America's beautiful children. We love you. And, as school approaches, I know that there are so many concerns. We hope that, here at National Parents Union, we're bringing forth the authentic voice of parents, meeting those concerns with solutions. But you can always reach out to any of us. We have shows that air through the daytime. You can reach me at Christina@npunion.org. Always willing to answer questions or provide resources that I have available. California parents, I'm here to serve you. Thank you so much for watching Managing Day to Day. Today, we have a wonderful crew of parents, and I will let them say who they are. Just a dynamic crew, and I have so much respect for them, and just so much love to share with them and help, and just everything that you can think of that's good. And so let's go ahead and bring those parents out. Hello. Waiting. Hello. While I'm waiting, I have this shirt on, Amo a Gompers. You could see what it says. Students need to be respected and not a part of adult negotiations and things that are taking place there. So, I just want to make sure that I represented that. So to my San Diego parents, at Gompers, just know that I still am here fighting alongside you, thinking about you, just here and got your back. So we'll just see when the crew we have on today comes out. Oh, here we go. Hello, hello, hello.
Unmute.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful, how are you?
Great. Shakira, you might want to turn yourself right side up.
It's funny because it looks fine to me. Go figure.
Yeah, there you go, right there. It happens, and it's okay because we're on managing day, moment by moment, day by day. And so, you got it? Yeah, that's good right there.
It's literally upside down for me, but that's okay.
I can see you, and you're beautiful. I see you right there. Can you all say who you are, where you're at, and we'll start out with that.
I'm Arlena Waller, and I am in Bakersfield, California, and I am a homeschool mom and also the founder of She Power Leadership Academy.
Thanks for coming, Arlena. I really appreciate it. Hey, Christy.
Hey,
thank you for having me.
Sure. I'm Chrissy Warren. I'm a homeschooling mom in Bakersfield. I'm also an instigator and a rebel rouser and a heretic and all of those great things.
We love you then on this show. I mean, I'm like the public offender #1, Hey, Shakira. Hey, Shakira, how are you?
Hey, good, thank you. My name's Shakira McCombs, homeschool mom of 3 and parent advocate for school choice, and just doing what I can so every child has a choice in public education.
And she's also the founder of Parents for Parents Choice.
Yes. And you're also the founder of She Power. And I have to tell you guys watching across the nation, I call these parents my Bakersfield riders because they are unrelenting and consistent about raising the standard and the bar for the kids there in Bakersfield, Kern County, California. Not gonna back down, and I am so proud and honored to just know them. They spark a fire in me, and that's a lot. And so talk about the challenges that you have faced in your community there in Bakersfield.
You could go first, Christy.
Are you referring specifically to challenges in homeschooling and home education?
In education, even, with regards to maybe even the community as like the workforce, what's available generational things that have taken place there.
Okay. Perhaps a way to illustrate that is just to tell you a teeny tiny bit about my homeschooling journey. I have a 13-year-old that I'm currently homeschooling through a charter school. I also have a 21-year-old who will be entering her senior year at Stanford. And I have a 23-year-old that's in a master's program here at Cal State. So my homeschooling started with my oldest two, both very bright. One bright and motivated, and one bright and lazy, and they both were failed. The one who was bright and lazy knew that she could do minimal to no effort and still get an A or B, so why try? And the one who was bright and motivated, their answer was just let her skip a grade, let her skip 2 grades. So for me, it was apathy, that as long as they were performing, there really wasn't much effort that the school wanted to put in. Now, mind you, they were attending one of the, considered by test scores and whatever nonsensical rubric they have, one of the best schools actually in California, from a great school district. But I do want to say it actually was one of their teachers who told me, pull those girls out and homeschool them. So there are allies within the education system, few and far between, I believe, but for the most part, we do have allies in the education system for us as home educators.
You know, and those people that are within the system, really caring about our children and caring enough to inform you of the truth, to let you know the truth, are really swimming against the stream if they just, really fighting from within, trying their hardest to do what they can. And so parents that are watching, when you get that kind of information, believe it, right? That is coming from a trusted source within that's saying, look, your children should be treated a certain way, should be educated a certain way, should be respected a certain way. And I recommend that you do something else, believe that source.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad that you did. Shakira?
You want to go, Shakira?
No, please, Arlena.
So I'll tell you a little bit about how I got to this place and what my challenges were. I'm for parents having a parent's choice. My child, my choice. So sometimes private school will work, public school will work, charter school will work. I do believe parents should have that choice. So being here today is not pushing one choice over the other. I've been in all 3 school systems with my 2 boys. How I got to homeschool, and it's very challenging for me because I'm super busy. But when we look at our child and say, what's best for our child? The public school pushed me to homeschool because where my child needed to be developed and where my child needed to grow, the public school didn't have a grade for that. So they didn't teach it. I think a child should be fully developed, not just by curriculum, not just in a frame. And unfortunately, that was a challenge in which we were dealing with our younger son. And so my husband and I had the conversation and we didn't have a choice. If we were really going to support our child in the area in which he needed to be developed, we had to homeschool. And we had conversations with the public schools. We wanted to find a way to keep him in the school, right? That's what we're traditionally taught to do. And it came down to the bottom line is, we can't help you, okay? My other child went to a private school because the public school wasn't helping him. And I'm not knocking all public schools. I'm sure there's some great ones. But when it comes down to intentionally educating the Black child, I do believe there's an intentional failure in place because it's hard for me to understand how you can get a man to the moon, but you can't get Black children's reading data up. I also find it very challenging as it relates to the work we're doing in the Southeast, that we understand that educators who look like children tend to have a better response. And if you look at the data that is out in that area, it's brown and Black children, and they're bringing in white educators to lead, it further makes me believe that the public school system is intentionally positioning our children to fail. So looking at the scheme of everything that I had access to, and I'm not a warrior like Chrissy and Shakira, like, you know, let's go, right? It's whatever. But I support them 100%. because they have educated me in this space in a way that has opened my eyes. And I do question, are our children a priority in the education system or not? So that is why I'm in this space right now.
You know, and I have to say that what you're saying, I have to validate that, right? They push us to this point, right? And, you know, I'm here saying I want every child's modality of learning, their learning style, the way that they think, supported, and, you know, valued, you know, because that's who they are. That's their identity. That character is wrapped up in that. I know that I could be doing 20 things at one time and I'm still listening and I'm still learning and I'm processing. And my son does that, right? And you can ask him what happened during that 20 minutes and he will dictate everything back to you that happened. He didn't miss a beat, even though it seems like, you know, he's missing a beat, but he didn't. But that was treated like a behavior problem.
Exactly.
Instead of treated like a gift, right?
Exactly.
And so now I see, you know, I am with you guys. Charter school, public charter school. California has public charter schools. They have hybrid models, homeschool models, and we get to choose what's best for our children. I had my 26-year-old daughter who graduated from a virtual academy. My 23-year-old daughter went to public charter school, utilizing 3 various models up until 10th grade, right? And now my younger 2 children are homeschooled through Springs Charter, and I love it because it fits their gift, their talent, and their ability. And they're not punished by me, they're discipled. We call that discipleship. But punishment and excessive harsh punishment, that's something totally different. And I don't think that the government should be treating children that way, right?
I agree with you 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not their role. And so, you know, parents, there are authentic voices, need to be respected, need to be valued. And that's across every platform. Even if you take your kid to the doctor, right? And you're pushing back and they're trying to push back and say no, but you're saying, I know my child, you're using a cookie cutter recipe that's not pertaining to my kid. And even if you have all the data and the statistics and all this other stuff, that's not my kid, you know?
Well, think about it. Think about this and help me understand, ladies. Is not the public school homeschooling right now?
Right.
We're all distance learning, right? It is.
No.
Yeah.
They've labeled it distant learning, but it is homeschooling because the parents are at home teaching their children.
Exactly.
Is it the same or is there something different? Am I missing something?
Oh, the difference is the quality of what is being provided, right? Because, you know, I like to say that prior to this pandemic crisis, this isn't what our homeschool life looked like, right? You know, we had the ability to go to different places, museums, you know, just different things that we could do prior to state closures. I think that what has been handed to parents that are suddenly off schooling from home is not typically what we would offer our children in a homeschooling program. You know, we would be looking for something more quality and piecing together things that are not just like substandard or some content that's random that the kids never even learned and the teacher never explained, right? So I want parents to understand, like, this is not our seasoned homeschool life. And you know, we have like, you know, group meetups where we all get to sit like we're talking now. You know, if I want to sip on some tea while the kids do art, whatever, science, we do that. You know, it's not that forced thing that is happening. Shakira, when I met Shakira, and I have to let you guys all know, she is one of the most culturally centered and sensitive people that I know in my life right now. And I gotta just shout out to Shakira because how many conversations has she, you know, had to bear me being like, oh my God, I'm so sick and tired of what is happening to Black children. And she's like, yeah, I agree. Like, me too, you know, and she means it. You know, people say that and they don't mean it. She means it, you guys, and she will show up and pull up for our kids and all the other kids too, right? So, talk about, just your passion behind making sure that all children, and that you mean all, have adequate education.
Well, and for me, my journey is a little bit different. My kids have always homeschooled through a charter school. It was just a choice I made out of just my husband's a public school teacher, special ed, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've always felt like every parent should have a choice of where they want their kids to go, kind of like what we've all been saying. And so just kind of looking at the stuff that he had to go through and how much time is really spent on what they make you do as far as behaviors and the lack of education that they have time to really give, just really opened my eyes and made me realize that, wow, all kids need choices. And then as I was looking at that and doing homeschooling myself, I noticed that so many people didn't realize that they had choices, especially in the African American and Latino communities. They had no idea there was even a homeschool charter school available at their fingertips, and it just really frustrated me. And then when I saw the movie Miss Virginia, I found a lady that in Washington, D.C., of all places, was able to get school vouchers for kids that are in the lower income areas where they could never have school choice. They could never go pay for private school. And it just really opened my eyes to the possibilities of what people call maybe a more liberal state. They have school vouchers, so why can't any state have school vouchers? I don't think it should be a political issue. I don't think it should be one-sided issue. I just think politics should be completely out of it and let parents choose what's best for their kids. And especially those that don't have the options right in front of them, like so many, privileged and particularly privileged white people have that opportunity. So,
And the politics should be left out. And like I said, when I first started, I have my Amo Agamper shirt on, shout out to GPA, standing with you guys. And it's all because politics came into this quality charter school, try to take over, try to unionize and take over. In their 15 years of success, they saw like, oh, they're being successful in the inner city, southeastern San Diego, and like, oh, we're gonna come in and infiltrate, take it over. Like, wait, what? What is that? What are you doing? And I have to agree, like, when people think of California, they think of this liberal, progressive state. But I'm gonna lean in a little bit on that, because how liberal and progressive is our state in this blue state where people can continue to be academically and educationally oppressed, right? There's no progress in that. And there's no liberal anything in that. Oppression is not liberty. And it's definitely not progress. And especially when we're talking about Black children, 80% of Black children in the state of California cannot do math at grade level, and 67% of Black children in the state of California cannot read or write at grade level. And when I really started to look into some of the bigger districts around our state, I saw that the numbers were as high as 75 to 90% were graduating, couldn't read.
Is that intentional?
It's
right. And that's what people have to ask. Is this intentional? Because, for example, when we went, the three of us went on the tour to Margaret Fortune's school, and we were able to look at the data. We were able to look at the children. We were able to look at the educators. She is in a position intentionally making sure these kids accept standard is high. They're rising to this standard and they're excelling. So I am left with the fourth grade understanding belief that our education system is framed to intentionally fail our children. Now, when we look at politics that are involved in this, who really are the leaders in politics? White men. And then when we take that a step further and look at the way our America was started off of racism by white men, our education failing our children is intentional. I can't understand it any other kind of way.
Well, you're right in the fact that the school of thought of supremacy, see, I don't call it supremacy because ain't nobody supreme to me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like, even saying supremacy connotates the fact that there's someone superior, right? And they have deified themselves. Right.
Mhm.
And I don't believe in deifying or making any person a deity. You know, if you believe on the one hand that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, then you better mean it and prove it, right? But we've seen that that has not been what has taken place, so it is intentional. But along with the school of thought of supremacy comes misogyny.
Right.
So even when Black people were fighting for their rights, white women were fighting for their rights too. And you saw this huge woman suffrage movement because that is a couple. And misogyny and supremacy are coupled together, and decoupling them is something that, you know, I don't even, we ain't gonna go into today. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Chrissy?
I was just going to say, to go back to the why. I believe often the why answer is found at the end of the money road when you follow the money. The California Teachers Association spent literally $1 million a month to defeat parent choice when it came to homeschooling charters.
Yes.
I believe, and my belief is not just founded on, oh, I woke up and thought it. It is founded on facts, that the California Teachers Association's goal is for every single child to be in a place where they are taught by a dues-paying teacher. And until that happens, we have to continue to fight, because they're not going to let up. I am a credentialed teacher. I taught in the classroom, and like the other gorgeous women here from Bakersfield, I too believe that it's a parent's choice. My older two chose to go to a traditional high school. With that said, if I were still an educator in the classroom, I would be livid at the way the California Teachers Association has hung their teachers out to dry. They claim they can't do anything to help them during this crisis schooling, but yet they had $1 million a month to stop me and Shakira and Arlena and other homeschooling parents from accessing homeschool charter. But they can't help their teachers to be successful in this pandemic schooling that they're being, you know, thrust into. So, but also remember that the CTA is one of the highest donor special interest groups. They're super powerful. Like,
Right.
if you don't hear from me tomorrow, come check on me, powerful. So
Preaching.
that's why. That's the
You know,
why.
but they spent almost $4 million in a period of 3 months to fight us last year, right? And that's more than big oil. Like, they spent more than Exxon. Okay, I need people across the nation to understand that the California Teachers Association, with their political action crew, committee, whatever you want to call it, lobbying arm, spent more
Gangsters.
you know, Ed Thugs and Ed Gang. Well, we Ed Thuggish
Ed
too, though, you know?
Thugs.
So spent more
I like
than
that
Exxon Mobil, big oil, to fight caravanning parent, right?
To fight Kira.
We're like carpooling, you know,
Lunch packing.
we got paper bag sandwich lunches, like we got this, right? Exactly. We're like, how can we get some paper signs? Black Parent Strike took place. I pulled up, you know, a lot of other parents did too that could make it. And we're standing in the hallways sweating. Like, it's almost like they turned the AC off that day. Maybe CTA did that too. I don't know. I'm gonna blame it all though. I don't know. And so we were standing there for hours and then watching the you know, our so-called representatives roll their eyes. Are they almost done yet? Kind of looks on their faces. How many more out in the hallway? It was thousands of us. And before that, we're like emailing, calling, you know, doing everything, like really literally spending our day doing this. But in the end, it came down to who had the biggest bucks, right? And who controlled our local elected representatives. And I have to say that it is, my dear friend Rebecca Friedrichs talks about this a lot, standing up to Goliath, right? How she was, as a teacher, felt like, you know, bound to some things that she didn't want to do, and that's why she fought back. And so out of that came the Mark Janice versus Acts for Me case, and teachers, if you're listening, it allows you to not have to pay union dues and opt out of the union. A lot of people say, well, that's kind of scary, you know what I mean? But how well are they representing your interests? And how well are they representing you? I really have to ask that question. And so the Supreme Court voted, you know, and you can look this up because we're not about to go on this today. That's a whole nother show, and I'll have to see if Rebecca can come on and talk about that. You know, Acts for Me, Janice versus Acts for Me, teachers can opt out, and definitely be looking into why, because them as a lobbying arm, them as a political action committee, them as doing things that everyday teachers don't approve of. And I can't say that all teachers don't approve of it, but we know some good ones like you did, Chrissy, that don't. And I know Shakira's husband does not either. They're just there really with the heart to teach children and teach them well without all of politics and all that other stuff. And so speaking back about what Shakira brought up, the film, you know, you're one of the first people I talked to, Shakira, to come out to Bakersfield, because you were like, we want to do a first annual National School Choice Week celebration. And so talk about how that all transpired.
Well, actually, yeah, that I do have to take credit for getting you to Bakersfield for all of us. So I'll take credit for that.
Hold on. You got to back up. She came with the NAACP first, which I brought her to Bakersfield. Back up.
Right.
Y'all so forgetful.
So
okay, keep going.
So I was reading your articles and very inspired by all your articles, and I was like, lady is, you know, this is, she's amazing, and I have to meet her. And so I did a little bit of work and noticed at that time you were with the NAACP, so I called them, and they didn't put me directly in contact with you, but I was just kind of talking. I was like, you know, it sounds like maybe the NAACP is for school choice. I'm excited about that. You know, it just got me going. And so that kind of goes off on another subject, but then I was able to find you through them. And then that kind of put us all together because of the movie, me wanting to do the movie, and then learning more about school choice and the effects, especially on African Americans and Latino families. And that's kind of how it all came together. And it all started with your articles, though. Your amazing, inspiring articles. I read them.
And so you were able to really get the movie theater, right? Rent out that whole thing, and show this film for the first time, introduce these things into Bakersfield, because this is how serious you guys were about parents understanding that they have options and really fighting for quality options and being a part of that ecosystem of change and generational change. And on that side note, Arlene, I do gotta say, and I'm testifying today, this is about to be the truth, the absolute truth, and nothing but the truth. I, as the education chair of the NAACP, totally supported school choice. However, the organization didn't, and that's true. They have a moratorium on charter schools, and I felt that if I'm supporting all parents. I don't care where you want your child can go where you want them to go. Like, and me as a parent that subscribes to choice, watching my dad even be a homeschool parent, I felt like it was a little hypocritical for me to support a moratorium on this, right? So during that time, and battling within the organization, I said, you know what? How about I counter argue the moratorium? And I, came out with a resolution to support charter schools and against the moratorium with all the Black student data across the state. Well, I didn't know that was a problem. So during the time that I met you guys, I was still education chair, but I am no longer education chair because of that contentious relationship. My support for parents to choose what's best for their children, creating that resolution to end the moratorium on charter schools so that people will understand that, their civil right is in equitable quality education, not stopping that, right? And so, we just continue to fight. we get opposed, but we continue to go. And that was a very eye-opening, event, people coming to the movie. And I remember there was a lot of people that were thankful, like, wow. And it's always exciting when you hear, what do we do next, right? Because now you have the awareness and the attention of what is possible. And so talk about, what are you guys, foreseeing as what is next, for parents, and what could be done, because we're all working on this together. COVID, you gotta go, okay? Because it's messing up our street action, right? But yeah.
I just want to say that I think it's so important for people really to look locally. I never knew the importance. I actually met Chrissy with her mom doing a local political event, and that's how I met Chrissy. And I didn't realize the importance of local, and how so much happens at the local level, and I think we tend to take that for granted. So just getting involved and finding out, who your congressman is or who's up for election that supports parent choice is just fundamental how we're going to be able to change. Senators, who's your senator that's going to support school choice? I'm just looking forward to the future of the possibilities of that in the future, because we definitely need people to run that are for school choice, regardless of what party they need to support school choice.
Yes.
And so we have to really check that out when we vote.
Definitely.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Now, I was just going to say real quick, for my future, I'm no longer going to support impotent local chapters of national organizations. I'm no longer going to just allow them to go on name recognition. I would like for Arlena to talk a little bit about how she's created a true community network. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm no longer going on name recognition. I'm all for building. Yep. And so
that's why me and that organization parted ways. I'm not here to do your agenda. I'm here to protect the civil rights of the community that I serve. And so if that's what grassroots looks like, right? That's what it looks like. Civil rights organizations are meant to really fight for people after they've exhausted all of their means of fighting for themselves. Really, truly. Nobody wants to walk into, that type of situation and then find out that they really can't be supported. And I do have to say, some of them are volunteer led, but when you have people that are there saying, here's the problem, and we're offering our time to volunteer and solve it, and you still get the door shut in your face, you gotta wonder what really is the agenda. And we walk away and reject stuff like that.
Either lead or move out of the way.
Right. And I think we've experienced that. I met Shakira set a meeting with me, and then she didn't realize I knew Chrissy. And so we all connected, and they shared their agenda with me. I'm not an expert in this lane. I don't pretend to be, but I will bring every resource that I have access to and let the experts do what they do. And so that's kind of how our Mom Squad kind of was created, and really a role of me supporting the expertise that these two ladies bring to the table. And we went to an organization, they were willing to be chair of education, and it just fell dead. I mean, here you are, two women who know the law, know the rules, who's been doing this fight, want to fight for all children, and it didn't happen. And so we just keep pushing. And so my role was to try and reach out and set meetings up, right? That was my role. And just figuring out what we can do here in Bakersfield and how we can help. That's when I reached out to you, Christina, brought you in. We met with the NAACP. That fell flat. Why, we don't know. But we all wanted to be in this fight together and help our children, and that hasn't changed. And so, as Christy said, share a little bit about, we started the MLK Community Initiative, which is a true collaborative effort for communities. People in different lanes bring their expertise, and we join forces, and we do what we need to do. Education is a huge part of economic development. Under economic development, there's 25 different categories. Education is one of them. We're working with you. We definitely want to work with Chrissy and Shakira. And how do we help? We're focusing on the Southeast area where brown and Black kids live in a community that is double-digit unemployment. suffering from high PTSD, low ACE scores. This has to be intentional. And then when we look at the administrator this school has brought in, a white woman to lead brown and black children, when we know there's qualified brown and black educators. So we again have to ask the question, is this intentional? And we're going to continue the work that we're doing in an effort to discover those answers and to push back where our children, we have to stop allowing educators to put the blame on families and children. I heard your interview yesterday, Christina, when you talk about, black parents are not involved. How do you communicate? Communicating to brown and black parents is very different than communicating to white parents, as Shakira said. Those privileges, that opportunity is easily accessible. So if you really want to connect with these parents, you have to do it a little bit different. And that's what we're pushing back on. That's what we're going to be fighting, making sure that parents have true access in a way in which they can receive and get. And that is the only way here in Kern County we're going to create real change. And we're going to hold our elected officials responsible to not just be party driven, but to be people driven. And we're going to do it unapologetically.
And I have to say that we can no longer allow people just to hold spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be rubber stampers, placeholders, gatekeepers is what I call them, because it makes you think, like, if you are positioned to help, but you're not, then what are you there for? That means that you're positioned to oppose or hinder growth, right? And so we as Black, brown people, allies, we have to collectively really look at holding people accountable and no longer just allowing people to hold space, allowing people to just enter into communities that they don't understand, that they don't want to really service, don't have a heart to, and they get to tear the community up and go back home to wherever they go to, right? With no heart or compassion about it. That has to be stopped. And it takes one person at a time, like how we are, right? One family at a time, one community at a time. And it can be done. And it can be done with no apology, because we're trying to build, not tear down. And we've watched marginalized communities, our communities, be ravaged, not be supported, be ill-served in education systems, just all kinds of systems, whether it's healthcare, whether we're talking about economic empowerment pieces, right? We have watched that long enough, and so we have to raise our collective action and our collective voice and make sure that it is enough. And voting in people that are gonna support you and not just come in and look for you when it's time to get the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got to start
Do it collaboratively.
Right.
We have to do it collaboratively. I mean, if you look at just as we're a very diverse group, but we all have the same issue. And I think we have to get back to the heart of the matter, which is our children across the board. I mean, we have to get back to the heart of the matter. And that has been taken out of a lot of education systems. And that is why, I mean, how can you be proud to show up every day for work, knowing the data? You're failing children every single day. And then you want to point that and put that on the blame of the parents. Well, if you look at the data, children who are homeschooling or who are in public charter school, and you look at that data and then you look at your data, you're doing the same thing. This is time for educators and administrators to look at themselves and take some responsibility. And it is time for parents to hold them intentionally responsible for their failures.
And stop trying to sell those whack equity plans that you brought out in the 1980s and try to introduce to our parents and say, here's the equity plan. And it's the most inequitable plan because there's no measurable outcomes from it. I want to know, where's the data from when you first started your equity program to now? And how much has it really helped? Like, stop. And that is not a way to package a profit off of our children, right? And parents, you need to start rejecting that stuff. If you cannot see how it has supported any of the educational outcomes, and then you're the one at the center of blame, like the deficit's in you and your kids, and we need to train you on how to not be the deficit. Reject that. Reject that, because no other business gets to have the monopoly and then blames the consumer or the customers and continue to get money and function.
It's intentional.
Yeah, right. So we're talking about systems of colonization and creating whatever they wanted to do, but you have to actively reject it. You have to start questioning, how are you planning to educate my average daily attending student? ADA funds, compulsory attendance means you gotta be enrolled in a program. So with the compulsory attendance, it's not like, they're not getting funded for that. And even if it's discounted funding because of SB 98, okay, does that mean you're gonna discount the kids? Right? You're gonna, if you get 50% of what you used to get, are you gonna teach them 50% less than what
Right.
that would be devastating, if that's what is gonna take place. And I have a feeling with seeing some of these teacher union demands that the kids that were already, they were educating at a 75% less discount. I'm talking about academic achievement discounted. They're going to just say 100% forget it. You know what? Just, and we don't want our kids to just be passed along either. Like when we started, well-rounded, wise, knowledgeable, educated children, supporting how they learn, supporting the children to thrive. These children that we're talking about today are our future leaders of America tomorrow. What is that gonna look
Unapologetic
like?
leaders.
Right. What is that going to look like for them? And so while we're about to close, and we could talk about this a lot, ladies, I know we do. So time runs really fast. Before we close, give a final suggestion, thought, feedback, whatever you'd like to share.
Well, I'd like and this is for parents everywhere, not just in Bakersfield, give sincere, thoughtful consideration to running for your local school board. Just like Shakira said, to start local. And that's one place where policies can be changed. And if it's not you, find someone to support. But we have to be represented on the local school boards.
That's good. I agree. Run for office, city council, assembly, senate, take it all the way to Congress if you have to. Listen, right.
President.
Don't put limits on yourself, because half the people that are there really, that you think are educated about these causes, really are not,
Because anybody can be president, so you can run for that too.
Anybody with a T on the end.
I'm gonna let y'all say what y'all say.
And we're really being good on your podcast. We don't want to embarrass you, so we're trying to be on our best behavior, but we go in.
I'm being good on the podcast too, so we're all in agreement. No, I appreciate
that.
I was just going to say too, I think it's really important for the parents that are in the public school system to really speak out. I mean, a great example is that lady, she was leaving a Black Lives Matter thing in Kern County, and a teacher literally told the lady who was minding her own business that she was going to effing kill the child. And this is a teacher that teaches Bakersfield City School District children. What have those children under her been affected like when they were under her as a teacher? And now she's on administrative leave. It was on video. There's no editing, no splicing. I mean, it was as clear as can be, and she's still on administrative leave. I mean, it really, really bothers me. I even tried contacting the ACLU today myself, not getting too far, because I just feel like parents need to just be like, I'm going to pull my kid out. If you're going to have a teacher like that teaching my children, whether it's online or whether it's in person, and it's taking this long to figure out if you still want to keep her, then my kid does not need to go to that school.
I agree.
If we were in front of the school and said, I'm gonna effing kill you to our kids, CPS would be all over us. Are you kidding me? We would have been, they would have called the sheriff. Thank you, right? Criminalizing, okay? First of all, I wouldn't say nothing like that about any kid.
Right.
And if you're an educator, even if you're off duty, I don't care, whatever, you don't say things like that. That represents your heart for children.
Exactly.
And administrative leave means you're still getting paid, don't it?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Still getting paid.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would, keep pushing. For those of you that would like to reach out to any of these ladies, you see their names at the bottom. And, if you have any questions about how you can help, definitely contact Arlena. Arlena, give your contact information so that anyone that is willing to support the MLK Community Initiative and the work that you guys are really trying to do in this community to change the ecosystem and how things happen generationally can contact you, that would be great.
I definitely am on social media. They can reach me at Arlena Waller. They can go to She Power Leadership Academy, all platforms. They also can go to coldf.com. Our website is shepoweracademy.org or coldf.org. And if I can just say my last statement, understand the power of one. You have the power to make change and to find other thriving moms and dads that you can collaborate with and make change for your children and their future.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Know that we at National Parents Union support you, you know, and are fighting alongside of you. We're parents too, in the trenches with you, supporting however we can, pushing for quality, equitable education, access and opportunity for children to have exactly what they need to thrive and not just barely survive. And so I appreciate you coming and sharing, you know, just the truth. There's power in the truth and sharing your testimonies. And so I'm so glad that you joined today. And to everyone watching, thank you for watching. I will be back with Managing Day to Day on Tuesday, and we'll have more exciting guests. You need to follow these ladies in their action. Shakira, tell people how they can find the Parents for Parents Choice before I end.
Okay. Yeah, I have a Facebook group called Parents for Parents Choice. So it's parents and then for Parents Choice, and just sign up to be a part of the group. And we keep everybody updated on bills that are trying to hinder charter schools or homeschool charter schools. And so I would love for anyone and everyone to join, please.
And I will embed these things in the chat after we finish our live session here. But you know what? Thank you for watching. Please be mindful of, you know, just everything that's happening with your child, and rejecting false narratives. The deficit is not in our children. The deficit is not in us. You know, we're everyday parents wanting our children to thrive. And so reject those false narratives and those false narrative creations. They come out like rhetoric every day. But I need you to oppose them and to continue to say, no, I care about my kid and I want quality and I want the best for my children, just like you'd want for yours. And so I admonish you to do so. Again, you can reach out to me, Christina at mpunion.org. You have been watching Managing Day to Day with me, Christina Laster, National Parents Union. I hope you're all well. I hope you all thrive. Goodbye to America's beautiful children. We love you, and we will see you again next time with National Parents Union. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.